The midnight game is said to be an old pagan ritual once used to punish those who disobeyed the gods, although this claim is dubious and likely originated as online horror fiction known as creepypasta. Still, it has become a popular activity for thrill seekers due to being easy to perform at home with minimal supplies. To play, you must write your full name on a piece of paper, prick your finger and put a drop of blood on the paper. Turn off all the lights in your home, place the paper in front of a closed wooden door with a lit candle on top, and knock 22 times, with the last knock at precisely midnight. Then open the door, blow out the candle, close the door, and immediately relight the candle. Keeping your candle lit, matches, and salt close by, begin moving through your darkened home until 3:33 a.m. If your candle goes out, you have 10 seconds to relight it. If you fail, you must immediately surround yourself with a circle of salt and stay inside it until 3:33 a.m. The game allegedly summons the Midnight Man, an entity you must avoid encountering in the dark. Continually moving makes it harder for him to find you. If he catches you, he may induce hallucinations of your worst fears or even remove your organs. Signs he is near include sudden cold, whispering, a humanoid figure in the dark, or your candle going out. There are many things you must not do during the game, like turning on lights, using a flashlight, going to sleep, using someone else's blood, leaving your home, or provoking the Midnight Man. The game ends at 3:33 a.m., but you should not assume the Midnight Man is gone for good. While the Midnight Game's exact origins are murky, it has captured the imagination of many who are drawn to its simple yet sinister premise. The possibility of summoning a malevolent entity through such mundane means and being stalked through one's own home is a potent nightmare scenario. Yet the question remains, is it indeed just a scary story, or could there be more to this dark ritual than meets the eye? In 1995, a 21-year-old electricity student named Mike Marcum from Stanberry, Missouri, attempted to build a time machine he called the Jacob's Ladder. The device used a modified CD laser to create an arc between two poles. When activated, Marcum claimed it created a vortex that could make objects briefly vanish and reappear a short distance away. Marcum wanted to use the time machine to get future lottery numbers, but needed more power. He stole 6 large transformers from a power station, causing a local blackout. This led to his arrest in January 1995. After serving time, Marcum appeared on Art Bell's Coast to Coast radio show. Listeners sent him ideas, funding, and parts to continue his work. He built a more powerful 3-megawatt machine with a rotating magnetic field, large enough for a person to enter. In a 1996 interview, Marcum claimed he was 30 days from finishing his legal time machine. He said if he traveled in it, he would only bring his cell phone. At the end of the show, he gave out his address and invited people to find his house on Google Earth. However, in 1997, Marcum disappeared and hasn't been seen since. On October 13, 1917, a large crowd gathered near Fatima, Portugal, in response to a prophecy made by 3 shepherd children that the Virgin Mary would appear and perform miracles on that date. Newspapers published testimony from numerous witnesses who claimed that they saw extraordinary phenomena, such as the sun appearing to dance or zigzag in the sky, careen towards the earth, or emit multicolored light and radiant colors. The event became known as the Miracle of the Sun. According to various reports, the event lasted approximately 10 minutes. During this time, the sun allegedly appeared as an opaque, spinning disk in the sky, was significantly duller than normal, and cast multicolored lights across the landscape, the surrounding clouds, and the people. Witness accounts also claimed their previously wet clothes and the wet, muddy ground had dried in minutes. However, not all witnesses reported seeing the sun dance, and some people saw only the radiant colors or nothing unusual at all. The local bishop investigated the children's accounts and questioned witnesses to assess whether the supposed private revelations from Mary were compatible with Catholic theology. He found the evidence, especially the numerous reports of the solar phenomena from secular sources, sufficiently convincing to declare the miracle worthy of belief in 1930. Within the Catholic Church, the miracle is seen as the fulfillment of a promise by Mary, the mother of Jesus, signaling the truth of her appearances to the three children. It has been the subject of much theological analysis and speculation, such as the meaning of the event in light of biblical prophecy and the validity of reported miraculous healings attributed to the event. While the Catholic Church has recognized the miracle as supernatural, many critics believe explanations such as mass suggestion or natural atmospheric phenomena are more likely. Proposed alternate explanations include a possible sundog or dust from the Sahara, optical effects caused by looking directly at the sun, such as retinal distortion, and color changes from bleaching of photosensitive cells, and psychological factors such as pareidolia and collective hallucination. Additionally, there are significant differences in the witness accounts as to what was seen. Mirage cities are intriguing optical illusions that can appear on the horizon, resembling towering skyscrapers or entire cityscapes suspended in the sky. These illusions have fascinated people for centuries. These mirages are caused by a phenomenon called a superior mirage, which occurs when there are alternating layers of warm and cold air near the Earth's surface. Light passing through these layers can bend, creating distorted images of distant objects. In the case of mirage cities, this bending of light can make ground-level objects, like buildings, appear much higher in the sky than they actually are. This effect can be so convincing that it creates the illusion of an entire city floating above the ground. One well-known example of this phenomenon is the Fata Morgana mirage, which has been responsible for sightings of ghostly cities and castles in the sky. This mirage occurs when there is a significant temperature difference between the air layers above warm surfaces, such as deserts or bodies of water. Mirage cities have inspired various legends and myths throughout history, often being associated with supernatural occurrences and influencing folklore, including tales of ghost ships. Despite their otherworldly appearance, mirage cities are simply the result of natural interactions between light and the Earth's atmosphere. Mirror matter, also known as shadow matter or Alice matter, is a theoretical counterpart to ordinary matter. It's a concept from physics that proposes the existence of a mirror version of all known particles, with mirror particles having opposite parity properties to their ordinary counterparts. While ordinary particles typically exhibit left-handed interactions, mirror particles would exhibit right-handed interactions. Mirror matter, if real, would interact weakly with ordinary matter, primarily through forces mediated by mirror bosons. However, these interactions are usually very weak, except possibly through a phenomenon called kinetic mixing. Mirror matter has been suggested as a possible explanation for dark matter, the mysterious substance that makes up a significant portion of the universe's mass. One interesting aspect of mirror matter is its potential impact on observational effects. For instance, it could affect the abundance of certain particles like positronium, leading to oscillations between ordinary and mirror versions. Additionally, if mirror matter exists in large quantities, it could produce observable gravitational effects, potentially forming mirror galaxies, stars, and planets. Experiments are being conducted to detect the presence of mirror matter, such as those looking for oscillations between neutrons and mirror neutrons. These experiments aim to explore whether neutrons can transition into mirror neutrons, which would have implications for our understanding of fundamental physics. Mirror matter remains a captivating area of theoretical physics, with ongoing research exploring its potential implications for phenomena like dark matter and particle interactions. There are some who believe that the Soviet Union attempted to launch cosmonauts into space before Yuri Gagarin's historic first flight in 1961, but that these early missions ended in tragedy and were covered up. According to this lost cosmonaut theory, Soviet authorities concealed the deaths of cosmonauts whose flights failed or went off course. Alleged incidents include a group of cosmonauts who supposedly died when their rockets malfunctioned in the early days of the space program. Another story claims that a Soviet pilot named Vladimir Ilyushin crash-landed in China after orbiting Earth prior to Gagarin. There are also accounts of secret fatal Soviet attempts to reach the moon before the United States. However, evidence for these lost cosmonauts is generally considered inconclusive. Investigations by journalists found no proof to substantiate the stories. Information released after the fall of the Soviet Union also hasn't supported the claims. Some of the alleged cosmonauts, like Vladimir Ilyushin, were real people, but they denied the accounts and weren't linked to the space program. A few of the stories, like a cosmonaut supposedly erased from the records after being hit by a meteorite, were revealed to be deliberate hoaxes. So while the lost cosmonaut theories are intriguing, they seem to be more urban legends than historical fact. In the world of cryptozoology and unexplained mysteries, there's a famous legend about a lost photograph from the late 1800s, supposedly depicting a giant bird pinned to the side of a barn. The creature's incredible size was demonstrated by 6 men with their arms outstretched in front of it, fingertip to fingertip, to show its massive wingspan. Many people claim this photo was printed in an 1890 or 1886 issue of the Tombstone Epitaph, a frontier newspaper. However, the archives of that paper contain a story about a huge flying creature, but no photograph. The story also describes more of a scaly dragon than a giant bird. Curiously, a significant number of people claim to clearly remember seeing this Thunderbird photograph in books, magazines, or newspapers, often from their childhoods. The descriptions they give of the photo are fairly consistent. However, despite extensive searches, no one has been able to produce the actual image. Some say this is simply a case of false memories. People may have read vivid descriptions of the alleged photo and visualized it in their minds, creating a memory that seems real. Others wonder if the photo did exist, but has been lost to time or is being intentionally hidden. Cryptozoology enthusiasts are fascinated by the possibility that a bird of such size may have existed in the not-too-distant past. From 1953 to 1973, the CIA ran a highly controversial program called Project MKUltra. The goal was to develop techniques that could be used to manipulate people's mental states and alter brain function. This included administering drugs like LSD to unwitting subjects, hypnosis, sensory deprivation, isolation, and verbal and sexual abuse. Many of the experiments were done without proper consent or knowledge of the risks involved. Subjects included mental patients, prisoners, drug addicts and sex workers, people the CIA considered expendable. Experiments were conducted at over 80 institutions, like colleges, hospitals, prisons, and pharmaceutical companies. Sometimes front organizations were used so the CIA's involvement would be hidden. When MKUltra's existence was exposed in 1975, it caused a huge scandal. The CIA director at the time ordered all MKUltra files destroyed, but some survived and were released under the Freedom of Information Act. These documents revealed the unethical and often illegal nature of the experiments. While the CIA claimed MKUltra was abandoned, conspiracy theories persist that its techniques are still used in a more covert manner today to manipulate people's minds. Officially, the program has been discontinued, and the CIA has pledged not to use unwitting human test subjects in the future. However, the full scope of MKUltra may never be known due to the deliberate destruction of records. The Möbius Strip is a curious geometric shape that can be formed by taking a strip of paper, giving it a half twist, and attaching the ends together. It has the intriguing property of only having one side and one edge, unlike a regular loop which has two sides and two edges. If you trace a line along the center of the strip, you'll eventually end up back where you started without ever crossing an edge. And if you cut the strip along this center line, rather than falling apart into two separate loops, you'll end up with one longer loop with two full twists in it. The one-sided nature of the Möbius Strip challenges our intuition and makes it a source of fascination. It cannot be flattened into a plane without intersecting itself. And it's fundamentally different from shapes like spheres and cylinders, where the inside is separate from the outside. These mind-bending properties have inspired all sorts of creative uses. Conveyor belts made in a Möbius configuration last longer because they wear evenly on both sides. Möbius strips show up in artwork like the famous drawings of M.C. Escher. They've even been used in magic tricks and as a symbol for recycling. In the Xinjiang region of China lies the mysterious Moguicheng, also known as the City of the Devil. This desert area is characterized by its striking landscape of crisscrossing earth mounds of varying heights, resembling ancient castles sculpted by the dry climate and strong winds. The stones themselves take on stunning shapes, from palace-like structures to ancient castles with steps, and even some that appear as frightening demons. Scattered throughout the area are stones of vibrant red, blue, white, and orange hues. However, it's not just the natural beauty that draws visitors to Moguicheng, but rather the enigmatic sounds that emanate from the area. On sunny days with a gentle breeze, pleasant sounds reminiscent of tinkling bells or the soft strumming of a guitar can be heard. As the winds intensify and cyclones form, the musical tones take on a more ominous character. The roaring of tigers, trumpeting of elephants, shouting of women, and crying of babies fill the air. When darkness falls, it is said that the sounds of animals and people mourning and quarreling echo through the city. As storms grow stronger, the sounds become increasingly terrifying, transforming the once beautiful city into a frightening demon city. The origin of these peculiar sounds remains a mystery, with experts unable to provide a conclusive explanation. In the absence of a scientific rationale, some attribute the pleasant sounds to fairies and the terrifying noises to the voices of ghosts. In the late 1600s, a deadly plague and harsh winter had taken their toll on the small community of Leonardtown, Maryland. The deeply religious townsfolk, gripped by fear and superstition, accused an older woman named Moll Dyer of witchcraft. They believed she had summoned the devil to bring famine, disease, and devastating ice storms upon them. A mob formed and descended upon Moll Dyer's hut at the edge of town. They set it ablaze, forcing her to flee into the woods with only a thin shawl for protection against the bitter cold. She ran for miles until, exhausted and near death, she placed her right hand on a small boulder and raised her left hand to the moon, calling down a curse on the people of Leonardtown. Days later, her frozen body was found, still clinging to the stone. The exact nature of Moll Dyer's curse varies, but it often involves blighted crops, infertility, child mortality, or general misfortune. To this day, locals whisper that her vengeful spirit haunts the land around Leonardtown, forever seeking the men who drove her from her home. Strange occurrences are often reported near the modern-day Moll Dyer Road, which is said to be where she lived or died. The Moll Dyer Rock, where her fateful handprint is occasionally alleged to appear, was moved to the grounds of Tudor Hall in 2021, and now rests beneath a protective plexiglass cover. Touching the boulder is said to bring illness and misfortune. To appease her restless spirit, small offerings like flowers, sweets, and trinkets are often left nearby. The idea that money is an egregore, a collective thought form given power by belief, leads to fascinating questions about how to affect its influence. If currencies are egregores, some might reason that destroying the physical manifestation of money, like burning dollar bills, would weaken the egregore. However, the act of destroying currency could paradoxically reinforce the money egregore by demonstrating how much people value it. Burning money is a powerful statement precisely because that money is seen as intrinsically meaningful. The shocking nature of destruction calls attention to money's importance in people's minds. There may be more effective ways to undermine faith in a currency, like rejecting it as payment, spreading rumors to erode confidence in its stability, or promoting alternative forms of exchange. These actions more directly challenge money's perceived legitimacy and usefulness. The contradictory effects of destroying money while reinforcing its worth might even explain money's unique power in the world. Money is strengthened both when it is sacrificed and when it is hoarded. This self-reinforcing cycle has entrenched money as the ultimate representation of worldly power and desire. Egregores of government and corporations can be weakened if people lose faith in them. But money's power persists whether we worship or defile it. This could be why, in the end, money reigns supreme over other human institutions. Its egregore feeds on the very acts that would logically dispel it. From the 1840s until the early 1900s, whispers of a terrible secret haunted the ancient walls of Glamis Castle in the Scottish Lowlands. The ancestral seat of the Earls of Strathmore was said to conceal a hidden room, a secret passage, and a shadowy figure glimpsed by night on the battlements. Rumors spoke of a monster of Glamis, a hideously deformed heir born to the Bowes-Lyon family, forever confined to the castle's depths lest the world learn of his existence. Some described a creature with a barrel chest, hairy as a doormat, his head running straight into his shoulders and his limbs toy-like. Visitors to the castle noted the oppressive atmosphere and the strange sadness that seemed to hang over the earls. One wife was said to have organized a hunt for the hidden room in her husband's absence, hanging towels from every window to mark those she had searched. Her furious spouse, upon returning unexpectedly, banished her from the castle. Generations of earls were thought to be initiated into the awful secret on their 21st birthdays, emerging pale and shaken, unwilling to ever speak of what they had learned. Some shunned the revelation entirely. The family's servants, too, were tight-lipped, though the castle factor once warned his mistress that if she ever learned the truth, she would never again be happy. Despite endless speculation, the secret was never disclosed. By the early 20th century, it was lost, perhaps to the grave, leaving the mystery of Glamis Castle forever unsolved. In 1984, Japan was gripped by a shocking crime spree, perpetrated by a mysterious figure known as the Monster with 21 Faces. The ordeal began on March 18th, when two masked men armed with guns abducted Katsuhisa Ezaki, president of the Ezaki Glico Confectionery Company, from his home in Osaka. Ezaki managed to escape his captors after 3 days, but was unable to provide any clues about their identities or motives. Soon after, the Monster with 21 Faces began sending taunting letters to police and media, ridiculing their efforts to solve the case. In May, they claimed to have laced glyco candies with potassium cyanide, forcing a massive product recall and costing the company millions in losses. After proclaiming forgiveness of Glico in June, the Monster turned its sights on other food companies like Morinaga, Marudai Ham, and House Food Corporation. In November, investigators discovered over a dozen Morinaga candies laced with sodium cyanide, narrowly avoiding a potential mass poisoning. The Monster demanded large sums of money from the targeted companies, communicating through cryptic newspaper ads. Despite extensive investigations and several close calls with suspects like the Fox-Eyed Man, police were never able to apprehend the culprits. In August 1985, the case took a tragic turn when a police superintendent committed suicide over the failure to crack the case. The Monster promptly released a final mocking letter, declaring an end to their harassment of food companies, and vanished. The true identity of the monster with 21 faces remains a mystery to this day. Over 1 million police officers worked the case, chasing down tens of thousands of leads, but no one was ever charged. The statute of limitations has long since expired, leaving one of Japan's most notorious crime sprees forever unsolved. In the early 1980s, a strange tale began to circulate, one that would come to be known as the Montauk Project. This conspiracy theory alleged that the US government had conducted a series of secret experiments at Camp Hero or Montauk Air Force Station on Long Island, New York. These experiments were said to be focused on developing psychological warfare techniques and exploring exotic phenomena like time travel and teleportation. The origins of the Montauk Project story can be traced back to the accounts of two men, Preston Nichols and Al Bielek, who claim to have recovered repressed memories of their own involvement in the project. Nichols, who purportedly holds degrees in parapsychology, psychology, and electrical engineering, has written a series of books on the subject, along with co-author Peter Moon. According to Nichols and Moon, the Montauk Project delved into a wide range of fringe science topics, including mind control, contact with extraterrestrial life, and even staging faked Apollo moon landings. They frame these alleged experiments as a continuation of the work begun in the infamous Philadelphia experiment of 1943. However, the entire Montauk Project narrative was fabricated by Nichols, and, to some extent, another figure named Stuart Swerdlow. Swerdlow's own backstory has been shown to be inconsistent, leading many to believe he simply sought fame and recognition within the New Age community. In November 1990, a peculiar event unfolded in the skies above Montreal, Quebec. For 3 hours, from 7:20 to 10:20 p.m., witnesses reported seeing a massive, circular, metallic object hovering over the rooftop pool of the Bonaventure Hotel. The object, estimated to be around 540 meters wide, was accompanied by 8 to 10 lights arranged in a circle, emitting bright white rays. As the enigmatic phenomenon slowly drifted northwards, onlookers struggled to identify the source of the lights. Some witnesses, interviewed by La Presse the following day, expressed their conviction that the city had been visited by extraterrestrial beings. The incident left such an indelible mark on the collective consciousness that, even decades later, it continues to be commemorated. In 2021, the Royal Canadian Mint released a $20 silver glow-in-the-dark coin featuring the Montreal event as part of its Canada's Unexplained Phenomena series.